We'll see who counts the food.
This is the Troll live with JustinFREAKIN.
I have one viewer. I have more people than that watching me play video games in the middle of the night, like 4 a.m. There's like 6 or 7 people watching me play Final Fantasy without even being on camera. Got one person watching the big show. Hey, Warlord, welcome in. Socialist Dot, welcome. Thank you for the resub, Dougie. Oh, people coming in now. People coming in now. Sorry. Holiday, welcome. Maybe my counter's just off. I thought that was funny because I did have like 6 or 7 people watching me play Final Fantasy VII in the middle of the night. I don't have view, but I've looked into it, Warlord. But do you know what a view bot really is? It's just like a program that opens a bunch of browsers and has like your stream playing on it. It really is all it is. So I can do that myself. I do sometimes. Like when I think about it, I'll put on like I've got a different browser where I'm assigned into a different YouTube account, and because it does like it helps like other people see it when I'm like fucking like I guess you could call it botting it. I'll just go through and like play all my playlists and have them playing in the background. Get some because it's in a completely different browser, so ads pop up. So I get that sweet ad revenue. Try to game the system. Tell the streaming police. You can tell the streaming police to suck my dick. Sports cards, welcome in. I try to fuck over ads. I highly encourage all of you to use an ad blocker because fuck ads. But I mean, if I'm gonna try to game the system for views, which it's not really me gaming it. Like I'll do it for like the newer videos That way more people see it, because like it'll suggest it. It's fucking, the algorithm's brutal. And like I went viral over a stupid meme video about John Cena and the Bubble Guppies. And because of that, because like I have 6,000 and some subscribers on YouTube, but 5,599 of those are on YouTube because of that meme video and not my politics, and most of them don't speak English. Probably don't like my political content. So therefore, there's so many people that are subscribed to me that don't watch my content. Oh, really? Really? No, I say use an ad. The streamer says use an ad blocker. I appreciate your sub. Use a fucking ad blocker. Clinically, welcome in. That's a man who uses an ad blocker. Fucking clinically uses an ad blocker. Warlord asked for a trivia night. Do you guys want to do a Friday news quiz? I found a different one last week. It was the Slate news quiz. Yeah, we'll do the Slate. We'll do the Slate. We'll do the Slate news quiz. Yeah, here we go. Fuck ads. Fuck paying for a free ad blocker. I'll tell you where you can put your pile. Let's test. Okay, let's get high. We'll do that real fast. We will test our knowledge of the last week with a news quiz. And now this one, last week I had been kind of unplugged from the news. I'd went and see The Weeknd. Was off for a few days, didn't really pay attention to the news. This week, I pretty much did the news every day. So, let's see if I score higher. I scored higher than their editor last week, but not higher than their average reader. And that upset. I feel like I should score higher than the average Slate reader. But then again, they might be a little slanted in their news selection. So this week we're going up against Alexandra Cole, the senior audience development editor. In which unusual location did Texas Rep. Nicole Collier spend a night sleeping in protest? That was the Texas State House. A roller coaster? The Justice Department has launched an investigation into allegations that police in which city have falsified data to artificially lower crime rates. It was Washington, D.C. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that which of the following will be added to the southern border wall with Mexico, and that is black paint, venomous snakes. They all kind of sounded equally idiotic. Which city's mayor, LaToya Cantrell, was indicted in what prosecutors called a years-long scheme to hide a romantic relationship with her bodyguard? Ah, shit, was it Newark or was it New Orleans? I feel like it was New Orleans. Yeah. Emily Peltonen, a first-term member of parliament in which country, took his own life in the parliament building. Huh. I did not hear about this one at all. You would think I would hear about this story. Yeah, let's go Finland. Correct. Peltonen, who was 30 years old, started his political career early, being elected as a city councilor for the town of Jarvenpia at the age of 18. Jarvenpia. The stepdaughter of former Vice President Kamala Harris sparked controversy by sharing her struggles with which of the following? Shit, I don't know. I did not hear jack squat about the vice president's, or the former vice president's daughter. Stalkers? Climate anxiety. Oh, shit. Astronomers have discovered a tiny new moon. I don't remember hearing this story. Only 6 miles wide, orbiting which planet? Uranus. Oh my God. It's orbiting Uranus. Which airline canceled flights after the union representing 10,000 flight attendants defied a return to work order? That was Air Canada. Air Canada. The U.S. government is negotiating to acquire a 10% stake in which technology company on the heels of a $2 billion investment by the Japanese technology giant SoftBank. Everyone knows that's Intel. Walmart has recalled which shrimp? Radioactive shrimp. Lisa Cook, a member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, has been accused of which type of fraud? That is mortgage fraud. Who will be honored with a commemorative forever postage stamp on what would have been his 101st birthday? Jimmy Carter? Boom. Kissinger would be more than 101 years old. Dick Van Dyke's still alive. Chuck E. Cheese? I am well above the average score. Well above their audience development editor. I got 11 of the 12. The only one I got wrong was Harris's, because who the fuck pays attention to Kamala Harris's daughter? Who gives a shit? Her stepdaughter? I don't even fucking know.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Why would I know that? No, Warlord, she's one of those blue-haired wokies. No, she is absolutely adorable. But, like, the right wing, totally attacks her for her looks. Okay, so the thing with the Slate news quiz is, like, I think the Harris daughter question was indicative of, like, I wouldn't be paying attention to anything. I listened to important news. That was not important news. And I think Slate is kind of geared more towards liberals and bougie liberals, probably, if I had to guess. It was almost just another day. Apparently we have a anonymously welcome in who sports cars. I'll tell you good evening. Shelly. Did I miss anybody? Ducky, clinically. Good to see everyone. Welcome. We gonna find out what that news be doing. A good chunk of this show. I debated it because some of you heathens have probably already listened to fucking maybe even the whole 6 hours of audio. 9 hours, however much it is. But I tried to pick out the juiciest sections of the Todd Blanche, Ghislaine Maxwell interview. If you have not heard it yet, you'll get probably 40 minutes to an hour of that content tonight. We're going to find out if she had any contact, or so she says. If she has any contact with the Mossad. We're going to hear about her thoughts on Princess Di, on Clinton, on Trump, RFK. Does she think Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? I can't fucking talk. The Epstein files were also released. God damn it. I'm not high enough. The DOJ released about 33,000 documents. That is roughly a third to a fourth of the total Epstein files to the House. We're going to hear from Representative Greg Sechar. about the release. We're going to talk a lot about the National Guard, John Bolton, all that, and a lot freaking more. Oh, hold on. I tried to pick a really, really good headline. We've got new information on the death of Hulk Hogan. A TV host was assaulted on the air. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Libertad. Oh, Europe and India are stopping postal service to the U.S. Fucking weird. This is like the second hoax mass shooting we've had before school even gets started this year. Last week it was Villanova. Today, the University of South Carolina reports no evidence of an active shooter after a campus-wide alert. The University of South Carolina issued a crucial update at 7:11 p.m. That was about an hour ago, stating that there is no evidence of an active shooter at this time following earlier reports that triggered a campus-wide emergency protocol. However, police continue searching affected buildings on the Columbia campus, and the shelter-in-place order remains in effect. This latest incident comes off the heels of reports of possible active shooter sightings on the campuses of Villanova University, the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga last week. I didn't even hear about that one. Active shooter alerts on college campuses have triggered emergency actions and widespread alarm nationwide in recent years. Remember what I always say, kids, shoot up drugs, not schools. Everybody has a much better time. And you're just like, you're saying, Justin, that's a horrible suggestion. I'm like, well, wouldn't you want a possible school shooter to be sedated? Come fuck on. I'm doing a community service. And they'll have a better time. They'll know they have something to live for, to get high tomorrow. You know what keeps me going? Knowing I can get high tomorrow. That's fun. A community was evacuated after a massive explosion.
Next tonight, a community under evacuation orders after an explosion at a plant in Louisiana. Drone video capturing the aftermath as the fire still burns, pumping plumes of smoke and black soot into the air. Tonight, the warning to residents. Here's ABC's Olivia Rubin with the new details coming in.
Tonight, more than 24 hours after a massive explosion.
Ooh-ah, that's what I say clinically.
Officials are warning residents.
Today was a good day. That's what that'd be.
Officials say a series of explosions rocked Smitty's supply shop in Rosalind
Smitty!
afternoon. Residents concerned.
People walking out, leaving medications, clothes, and personal items.
Everyone within a mile radius ordered to leave, including an elementary school.
This order is based primarily on the risk of falling debris, as well as a precautionary measure due to the ongoing and active nature of the scene.
Critically, officials also urging residents to wash their hands and faces after exposure to the black soot now filling the air.
Plans like that should be under intense scrutiny. That's what regulations are for. That's all this talk about deregulation. It's so that plants like that can run unsafely, pump a bunch of chemicals into the air, and then explode because the proper people weren't hired to take care of it.
Generated by the fire is associated with combustibles like plastic or burning trucks, as well as some hydrocarbon chemicals.
Officials say the EPA
probably have caused irreparable harm to that area.
Additional testing on that black soot. That data under review tonight as investigators continue to search for the cause. Mary.
Olivia, thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. She was good. I liked her. Starting tonight, the National Guard in Washington, D.C. will now be carrying firearms. Now, that should make everybody feel better. We had multiple reports last week of National Guard personnel getting in wrecks with civilians. One ran a red light and rammed into a car. Now they're going to be armed. The majority of the National Guard troops deployed to D.C. as part of the president's crime crackdown will carry M17 pistols. Do you feel safer yet? National Guard troops deployed to Washington this month to support President Donald Trump's effort to mitigate crime will begin carrying firearms on Sunday evening. According to a Defense Department official with knowledge of the planning, the majority of the Guard members will carry M17 pistols, their service-issued weapons, the official said, while a small number of the troops will be armed with their service M4 rifles. The troops are authorized to use their weapons for self-protection. Several other states were sending their National Guards to join in on the fun. Was that Memphis, Tennessee, one of the states?
Well, nearly 2,000
deploying
National Guard troops are stationed in Washington, D.C. under President Donald Trump's orders with the help of 6 states sending troops to assist. And you bet Tennessee and Mississippi volunteered as tribute. Now, the Trump administration...
I like her. She's funny. That's good.
Saying it's all in an effort to get criminals off D.C. streets and make it safer, despite local reports of lower crime in the D.C. metro area. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee and Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves sent troops, of course. Now, there's some concern that we here in Memphis and the Shelby County area will find ourselves under the same enforcement in Memphis. This week, the local radio station KWAM AM 990 had a 20-minute call-in interview with Trump, where Todd Starnes asked about sending troops to Memphis. And Trump didn't rule it out and said he'd consider it since FBI Director Kash Patel labeled Memphis as the homicide capital of America per capita back in May. Memphis leaders have since debunked that statement, saying reported crime is trending down here. But here's what Memphis Democratic Representative Antonio Parkinson and Congressman Steve Cohen.
It is one of the most dangerous cities.
This is politics and it's a power grab. And a lot of it, if you look at the pattern of who they're targeting, Democratic cities, Democratic states.
I'm afraid Memphis is in his sights, and they're going to try to come down here with the FBI or with other government officials or maybe even the National Guard. I don't think we need that. The Memphis Police Department has done a good job. That we've reduced violent crime considerably.
All right, back here now. Our sister station in D.C. also reported on Friday morning that the National Guard troops patrolling D.C. streets will start carrying firearms. And then in a press conference earlier today, which is Friday, Trump said that Chicago is now next. In this whole time, since this whole effort, there's been about
Chicago is next.
200 of those alone have been immigrants.
Boston is being threatened.
So
DJ Dub, welcome in.
You, Catherine. People in Memphis and Shelby County may not understand exactly what this
I would say Minneapolis would be on the list eventually.
What differences could Memphians see if National Guard troops were on our streets?
Well, I wish I knew what it would look like, because I don't understand why they're going to D.C. I don't understand what exactly they're doing in D.C. I don't understand why now they're carrying firearms. D.C. isn't even in the top 30 cities for crime, for violent crime. So I don't know what they're doing there. So that doesn't lend me a lot of information to know what they would do if they came here. I do think I can say that if they came here, if we had National Guard troops from perhaps different states coming to Memphis, sent by the president, that would be very much be an undermining of local authority. You wouldn't get your Memphis City Council people, your Memphis mayor, your Shelby County commissioners, probably even your state legislators. None of those people would be able to direct these entities coming into our city, and that's what we're seeing right now in D.C.
Tawan, are you, when we listen to Parkinson saying that it's targeting Democratic cities, African-American mayors, do you think there's truth to that?
Yeah.
About what I'm observing every day. 300,000 black women lost jobs between March and June. Now we're targeting mostly African-American cities. Our vote for this man was almost null and void. 92% black women voted for his opponent, and about 80-something% of black men did so. So I do think this is retribution. I do think this is retribution. But I'm also surprised that my Republican colleagues from across the aisle always believed in local control.
Are you surprised?
It's certainly making local control obsolete.
That they're hypocrites?
That you work with the local body, bring resources that they need, and coordinate an effort with them, but not to override them and roadhouse them. And that's what's happening here.
Roadhouse.
The tactics that they're using in Washington, D.C. Has been stop and frisk, which was questionable in the early 2000s, and you will see a lot
unconstitutional.
of suffering.
Wrong word, not questionable, unconstitutional.
700 arrests, because that will tell you if this is meaningful or not. Because if there are low level offenses, well then you have interrupted a family's household, income, getting attorneys, and made them poorer.
Powerful, Tuan.
I'm also very.
She is correct. Let's get to the takeover of other cities. Chicago is next on the chopping block. From the horse's mouth himself.
ABC News has confirmed tonight the Pentagon is drawing up plans to possibly send the National Guard to Chicago. Chicago's mayor and state lawmakers are again speaking out against President Trump's suggestion the city is unsafe and needs federal help.
And tonight, former presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is in town, also speaking out against the Trump administration. New at 5, our Eric Hong has more from the UIC Forum.
Mayor Brandon Johnson says he's in contact with county and state officials, but he's heard nothing from the White House. He called a possible National Guard deployment to Chicago costly, illegal, and unconstitutional.
The brave men and women who signed up to serve our country did not sign up to occupy American cities.
The mayor weighing in on multiple media reports that say the Pentagon is drawing up plans to send thousands of National Guard troops to Chicago as early as September to target crime, homelessness, and illegal immigration. In a statement, a Pentagon spokesperson said, "We won't speculate on further operations. The department is a planning organization and is continuously working with other agency partners on plans to protect federal assets and personnel."
What this president is attempting to do is not just unconstitutional, but it is very much a threat to our democracy.
Johnson says he's heard nothing from the White House since President Donald Trump's Friday comments that he'll expand National Guard deployments to cities other than Washington.
Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this.
In a statement, Governor J.B. Pritzker said Donald Trump is attempting to manufacture a crisis, politicize Americans who serve in uniform, and continue abusing his power to distract from the pain he is causing working families.
As a commander-in-chief over his 2 terms, he is only
gives a shit what Rahm Emanuel has to say.
In American cities, never overseas. And just think about what that means as a country.
Though CPD data shows crime, including violent crime, is down in...
He looks like a Muppet or some shit. What is that hair?
In American cities, never overseas. And just think about what that means as a country.
Though CPD data shows crime, including violent crime, is down in Chicago, some support having the Guard here.
That was mean of me.
Law and order, from the teen takeovers to the mass shootings, even when it comes to the elders.
Mayor Johnson is vowing legal action if the Guard is deployed in Chicago, but it's unclear what impact that might have. Weeks after the National Guard was deployed to Los Angeles, a judge has yet to rule on California's lawsuit.
ICE has been threatening Boston. The director, is that his title? The ICE director threatening Boston. The mayor apparently fighting back. This is Mayor Wu. Woo.
And Boston is already a target of a stepped-up federal immigration crackdown, mostly due to the mayor's outspoken stance to continue sanctuary policies, basically business as usual. Now, ICE agents, and this threat is that they would come and flood Boston with agents. Remember the cell video of a New Bedford in mid-April? It horrified
Flood Boston
and the community as a man thought to be an ICE agent breaks a window to take a man into custody. Now, conservative podcast host Howie Carr, yesterday speaking to the acting ICE director, talks about ICE flooding Boston again. It's ramping up the war of words.
Are you going to surge the city of Boston and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts like the District of Columbia is being surged?
We're definitely going to, as you've heard the saying, flood the zone, especially in sanctuary jurisdictions. And obviously, Boston and Massachusetts decided to stay, that they wanted to stay sanctuary.
We know how to take care of our neighbors here in Boston without the interference, coercion, intimidation, bullying, or threats from the federal government.
Todd Lyons repeating that a sanctuary city does not mean safer streets. Mayor Wu standing by the crime stats, which are moving in the right direction right now. We are live at City Hall. Rondella Richardson, WCBB News Center 5.
If you listen to any of the right wing, especially the conspiracy adjacent media that came out throughout the 2000s, one man specifically, one Mr. Alex Jones, he warned about, like, what was the name of the operation something or other that was going to be like the takeover of the cities, creating FEMA camps? Like, there was this conspiracy theory that he had about the federal government taking over, like. Everything that he warned about is coming true under Trump. Yeah, Obama is building the FEMA camps. It is wild to see it actually happen, and they're cheering it on.
People of my age cohort grew up listening to all kinds of differently coded libertarians, like some from the left, some from the right, freak out about things like a government surveillance state with databases tracking every individual, or a military takeover of American cities and jackbooted thugs and thought police. It was like the thing we would hear nonstop from a whole kind of
constantly
of folks. And honestly, the crazy thing is we're living it now. I mean, just today, Donald Trump went for, I guess, a ride-along to tour the military occupation D.C. that he's deployed. We're living it. He sent Marines into Los Angeles. And that's why this riff from formerly Trump-friendly podcaster Tim Dillon really got me.
They've already got the cops on the street that are not cops, or that are the military. They've already got the National Guard on the street. They already have all your information in D.C., and now they just get to decide what is and isn't over the line. That should scare everybody. You're nuts, dude. If this doesn't scare you, you're nuts. All of these things that Alex Jones, and I've had Alex on, I like Alex, but all these things that Alex Jones was like worried about when I listened to him in the late 90s, early 2000s are coming to fruition.
Yes.
I don't know where he is on all of that stuff, but like, I know he's
cheering it on.
Trump, but like, this is everything Alex Jones always talked about. Military in the street, the FEMA camp, the tech company that monitors everything, the surveillance. This is all of that. I mean, not to sound like a nut. This is everything a crackhead. And I don't even mean a crackhead like crack, but a guy smoking weed in a room with a black light and a insane clown posse tattoo on his arm. I'm thinking very.
Hey now, what the fuck is he talking about?
You're Willie Nelson high. You're smoking some of the best dope God ever put breath in.
A specific guy I was friends with, but this is everything that guy would have talked about.
Heather McGhee is a longtime progressive strategist, author of the phenomenal book To Some of Us.
Weed does not do that to you. Weed does not make you stupid.
Incredibly adorable baby. Ben Rhodes served as Deputy National Security Advisor under Obama and is one of the hosts of Pod Save the World, and they join me now. I think all three of us are around the same age, and all three of us have been in the room with the black light on, with the guy smoking weed, doing the riff about this. Heather, it's so true that this specific...
I used to be that dude, actually.
Politics, in, again, different ways. Some from the right, some from the left. The degree to which that is the goal, seemingly.
I was an Alex Jones fan.
The public face Trump wants to do, both behind the scenes in terms of our data and Palantir, but also in terms of what they are projecting to the American people.
It is because it doesn't make sense. Dylan was saying, why aren't my guys, right? Why aren't my fellow, right-wing podcasters up in arms about this? And it's because, sadly, the cultural force that animated the mania and the paranoia was the vision of a federal government in service of civil rights, of Black people, right? Of taking women out of their rightful place in the home, right? And so when the federal government was seen as something that was basically a big sort of civil rights machine that would take over white male sort of proper place in society, it was something to be feared by a sort of libertarian movement that was largely culturally, not intellectually, but culturally driven by a white male grievance. And so now that Donald Trump is the face of it, that the logic is against, young Black people, in an outdoor mall, that the logic of the state power is against undocumented immigrants from whole countries, it's fine, right? And the best, smartest guys in the world who also happen to be, techno-fascists are the ones handling all of your data. It's fine. So unfortunately, the right-left coalition we should see saying, you know what, I'm a privacy person, I'm a civil libertarian, I want to come together to stop this. I worry that race and gender is going.
Did Chris Hayes just get shot?
It doesn't make it really take off. And of course, this is all Trump's doing to try to distract his base from the Epstein stuff.
Yeah, although, I agree with that. I do think one of the things I think was encouraging about when the troops were called out in Los Angeles was that the public did seem to turn against that pretty quickly. Oh, yeah. I do think there's
none of this is popular. None of this is popular with the majority of the American people, but I think Trump is playing this for his base.
Yeah.
And so I think what Dylan is suggesting is that his base,
totally,
the ones who've hated the federal government, should be alarmed, but they're not going to be.
They're not going to. Right. They're not going to get on
their side. Yeah.
There's there's the show part of it. And honestly, I don't know if you guys have watched the video they made of them arresting the sandwich guy, which looked like a very...
Oh, yeah.
It was straight RoboCop sort of fascist propaganda. So there's Ben, they're doing this at the content level, right? They're also really doing it. There are actually troops. And then the thing that Dylan said, which I thought a lot about, is this DOJ breaking down all these barriers about data, 4 or 5 IRS commissioners resigning, because tax data is probably the kind of crown jewel, and even people that Trump appointed clearly not wanting to go along with whatever insanity Stephen Miller and him are cooking up. Palantir doing whatever they're doing with that government data, that used to be a huge deal. That was a huge deal about what the government data is.
It's maddening.
Somehow that does seem to have sort of evaporated from people's concerns.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at it in the context of what's been happening around the world, and you look at it in the context of, I don't know, let's just call it neo-fascism, right? There's 2 things that highlight. The first is that the democratic legitimacy for the leader, right, in an authoritarian or right-wing authoritarian society, is that the leader reflects the will of the people, right? So even if he's acting undemocratically, it's somehow democratic because he's reflecting your grievances, right. He's targeting your enemies, his aggrandizement, his power is inherently legitimate. What scares me, Chris, is this, because I think that this is not a bug, I think this is a feature. My last book was about the rise of authoritarianism around the world in places like Hungary and Russia, and I look at Turkey and Israel.
Look at the way Burgum's looking at him.
Places. And we see the same.
Get you a partner that looks at you the way Doug Burgum looks at Donald Trump. That man has a heart on. There's no way he doesn't. Talk about getting cucked. This dude's a fucking billionaire. He don't have to do that. What the hell? That's the way Clinically looks at his weed plans.
These places. And we see the same playbook. It's the exact same playbook that is being run by Trump, except one big difference. None of those countries have the...
Look at him there, too. He totally has a heart on. Holy shit.
Awesome capacity of the U.S. national security state, the awesome resources of the United States of America, and the breakthrough technologies in Silicon Valley of artificial intelligence, which actually allows you to use the mass collection of data. So we have actually never seen this. This is far beyond anything that Viktor Orban did. This is something that Vladimir Putin wished he had, these capabilities. And we're only 7 months into this. I mean, not to be kind of scary here, Chris, but like, where are we going to be 7 months from now? Because you're right. I'm in LA. People didn't like it when they came here, but he's normalizing it. Suddenly, it's not that unusual for troops to be in the streets. Suddenly, it's not that unusual for like there to be essentially
raising the temperature.
Militia. ICE is a militia that serves Donald Trump's political interests. Suddenly, it's not that unusual that Donald Trump has turned the Capitol into kind of a military encampment. Which, by the way, is not unusual for an authoritarian society. Does anybody really think that those guys are going to go home? You know, if Donald Trump is voted out of office, or, you know, he can't run for office, but if he tries to stay, you know? So I think what we have...
that's why they're there, I'm pretty sure.
The authoritarian playbook that we've seen in other countries wedded to a degree of power that none of those countries, not even China, has in terms of the capabilities in the U.S. national security state. Ironically, the black helicopter crowd on the libertarian right are the ones that, you know, have been calling out these kinds of scenarios. Heather's exactly right. When the president was black, the conspiracy theories used to be in Texas. Remember, there was a crazy theory that Obama was going to do some military exercise.
Jade Hill, that was what I was trying to think of.
What they're doing, because it's projection, right? The conspiracy theories they had about the liberal social engineering government that Heather rightly talked about, that their fever dreams can be made real because they thought about them to begin with.
It's not a maybe, Ben. That's such a good point, because if you think about it, what community has actually had...
Because that was the one where, like, there was some actual plan that the Pentagon had for, like, how it would defend major cities. And then the right took it, because always there's, like, a kernel of truth to it. And they took it as, like, oh, this is the plan to take over the cities and create FEMA camps. But it was literally like a game plan for what would happen if there was a major terrorist attack on a country, a chemical weapon, kind of like Israel's using on Gaza right now. We don't have time to talk about that tonight, but that's probably going to be a huge chunk of the show tomorrow night. Is Israel using chemical weapons? I don't know for sure whether they are or they aren't, but it sure seems like from the reporting that they are. But we don't have time to talk about that tonight. We got a whole bunch of fast shit to talk about here in America. Kilmar Abrego Garcia says Trump administration using threatened deportation to Uganda to coerce a guilty plea. They offered to send him to a tropical island, or he can be deported to Uganda. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man illegally deported to El Salvador in March and returned in June to face human smuggling charges that he denies, is accusing the Trump administration of attempting to coerce him into a guilty plea by threatening to redeport him to Uganda. Attorneys for Abrego Garcia, and like, this ruins their case. The luckiest thing for us as a citizenry is once again that these are incompetent fucking fascists that will lose in court because of their incompetence. Attorneys for Abrego said in a Saturday court filing, the Justice Department is pressuring him to accept a guilty plea to 2 felony counts, promising to deport him to Costa Rica, where he would be free from incarceration after the completion of any criminal sentence. In conjunction with that proposal, the government produced a letter to Mr. Abrego's counsel confirming that he could live freely in that country, which would accept him as a refugee or grant him residency status, and promised not to refoul him to El Salvador. But after Abrego resisted that proposal, Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials told his lawyers that they had decided instead to deport him to Uganda. Government officials informed Abrego's lawyers that the Costa Rica option would remain on the table if he pleads guilty by Monday. There can only be one interpretation of these events. The DOJ, DHS, and ICE are using their collective powers to force Mr. Abrego to choose between a guilty plea followed by relative safety or rendition to Uganda, where his safety and liberty would be under threat. This is according to Abrego's attorney. The allegation by Abrego's lawyers comes a day after Abrego was released from a Tennessee jail where he had been held since returning to the U.S. in June. He is being instructed to report to a Baltimore Immigration and Customs Enforcement field office by first thing Monday morning, according to the filing. They are going to detain him tomorrow. The Ugandan government announced earlier this week that it had reached an agreement with the Trump administration to accept third country deportees from the U.S. The African nation's foreign minister said the country will not accept individuals with criminal records and unaccompanied minors and preferred individuals from African countries. Abrego is asking a federal judge in Tennessee to dismiss the criminal case against him, saying the smuggling charges are corrupted by an overtly vindictive drive by the Trump administration to punish him. And it is overt. Clown car country indeed. In front of Riri and her fish. Now here comes a hard story to do because this man is not a good man. This man is a reprehensible man, a total ghoul, but as far as I can tell, has not committed any crime that I know of. So I don't want to get on here and defend him, but this really looks like it might be revenge. After he left the Trump administration, wrote a book bad-mouthing Trump, then went on, all kinds of news stations to say shit like this.
I do not think he's an existential threat. The Republic is much stronger than Donald Trump. And I think, in fact, it's counterproductive to those of us who are opposing him to hear people say resistance is futile.
Well, resistance isn't futile. I do agree with that. But he is an existential threat. This was a couple months ago.
Because when you say that, then you convince people maybe it is. I think the struggle goes on, and I think ultimately Trump will have a very unique place in American history as our worst president ever. I think that could have something to do with why the FBI now looking to charge John Bolton. No love lost here.
We hope also you may get in.
What is this guy being held hostage? Are you seeing this? Who is this motherfucker? There's a gun next to his head. He is being forced to be on the orgy couch, and he don't want to be there. He gonna have to suck some dick. Look at him. Or Trump's off to the side, and he's looking at him the way Doug Burgum was looking at Trump earlier. And he watched the couch.
Sweet. Excellent. Well, we hope also you may get into the fact that the FBI believes that John Bolton should face charges over alleged email classified documents. Obviously,
in other news,
saw the raids at his home and his office. A senior FBI official on the raid, New York Post, we have this quote saying the Biden administration had probable cause to know that he had taken material that was detrimental to the national security of the United States. They made no effort to retrieve it. That was a friendly administration to Bolton. They kept bashing Trump the entire time for weaponizing.
Wait. They're saying that Biden was a friendly administration to Bolton. Did you know what administration Bolton worked in? The Trump administration.
Come on, man.
But the Biden administration was the friendly administration to Bolton, not the one that he actually worked in.
Law enforcement and they, by politically stopping a righteous investigation, are the ones who weaponized law enforcement. What are your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was interesting in this piece. So senior FBI official talking reportedly to the New York Post, that they said that this case is entirely separate from a case that was opened involving whether there was classified information or violation of an NDA for his 2020 book. Because there was some reporting on Friday, we thought, this connected this raid back to that book? But this reporting is saying it's something entirely separate. It's over an alleged emailing of highly sensitive classified materials through a private server. So that's not an allegation.
Did she say sensified classified?
This reporting is saying it's something entirely separate. It's over an alleged emailing of highly sensitive classified materials through a private server. So that's not an allegation I've heard before. So there may be a lot more to this case.
I mean, I wanted to talk about not being able to speak, but that was funny.
Evidence from both
sensified classified
office locations. They'll have to sift through that and see if there's something worth taking to a grand jury now.
You know, Shannon, one of the things that conservatives have been really concerned.
Don't hate me, homies. This is Shannon Bream, the Fox News Sunday anchor, and be my GOP mommy.
A case that was opened involving whether there was classified information or violation of an NDA for his 2020 book.
Oh God. So Curiouser was here earlier and I was talking about, I don't even know how I got on this subject. I had an aunt who used to fill me up all the time, but I was into it. And she was like 55 and she was always like, I don't know what her politics was, but she was from West Virginia and she was like always dressed to the hilts. Like that woman had like fucking, you know, gold watch and jewelry and fucking awesome like clothes. Like the husband always had, like he wore white pants and a polo and tucked in and like absolutely, if they weren't Republican, I don't know what a Republican is. So I'm going back like, shit. The GOP mommy thing goes really deep, doesn't it? Because I was into it. I mean, she straight up like would grab my ass, big ol' handfuls, when I'm like 6th, 7th grade. My half on, cause that's the cousin that I had a short flirtation with. The cousin, that was her grandmother. And that half aunt, we did not share. My grandmother was her mom, but my grandfather was not her father. And my grandmother back in this little coal mining town was treated as if she was treated as if she was a total whore, and and like banished from the town. I'm from Kentucky. So that's why I want to say that my aunt who would grab ass on me. Are you at work? I'm so sorry. Okay. That was another. I told Curiouser, it's like it's kind of weird to have these revelations about the GOP in public. Like it's all coming to me. Like I'm living this out and having like the shit that should be told to a therapist. I'm doing it on the street. We're not gonna watch the rest of that. I'm so sorry. Hey, we gotta get back to the news. We got a whole bunch of shit to do. Adam Schiff was on Meet the Press. He under investigation for mortgage fraud by the administration.
Welcome back. And joining me now is Democratic Senator Adam Schiff of California. Senator,
she's loud.
Welcome back to Meet the Press.
Great to be with you.
It's wonderful to have you here on a big Sunday. You just heard my interviews with Vice President J.D. Vance, with the Russian foreign minister. Senator, what do you make of where this peace process stands? Do you believe it is stalled, or do you think it's moving forward, albeit slowly?
I think it's stalled, and I was most interested in your question to him, was Russia essentially stringing along, was Putin stringing along the President of the United States? Now, Lavrov is such a practiced liar. He's been doing this for decades. He seemed to have trouble with that question. He didn't answer that question directly. I was also surprised, frankly, that Russia would go and bomb a U.S. electronics factory that's so in your face to the president, to President Trump, that seems unnecessarily provocative. But they're clearly stringing the president along. And, you know, I think at some we have to start, what's our national security interest? Our national security interest is seeing a strong, sovereign, independent, democratic Ukraine. And measured against that, this summit, I think, was a failure. It didn't advance our interests or Ukraine's interests or that of our allies. Putin walked away with essentially...
J.D. Vance is... saying that Russia has made concessions.
No ceasefire, despite the president's demand for it. He walked away after being on the stage on U.S. soil with U.S. president, literally the red carpet rolled out for him. He walked away out from under the threat of sanctions from the United States. Trump had promised to impose sanctions. So they strung him along successfully. And I think the president, for his part, was correct when he said Ukraine can't win a war if it can't go on offense. But it is the president and the administration that is preventing Ukraine from going on offense by preventing Ukraine from using weapons to attack Russia on Russian soil. So I think it was a real setback for us. Lavrov, no surprises in his statements, except perhaps in his inability to directly refute the idea that they're stringing along the president.
Well, something we'll obviously continue to watch really closely. I do want to ask you about one of the top domestic issues this week, the FBI search of former National Security Advisor and Ambassador John Bolton's home and office. I did have the opportunity to ask the Vice President about this. He rejects the idea that this is political retribution. Do you believe that people need to let this investigation play out and not get ahead of it at this point?
I think this is clearly retribution. I mean, the idea that...
That's a weird question. Weird way to phrase it.
Prominent critic of the president at random. What the president is trying to do here...
Very leading question.
And systematic, and that is anyone who stands up to the president, anyone who criticizes the president, anyone who says anything adverse to the president's interests gets the full weight of the federal government brought down on them. So if you're John Bolton, you get your home seized. If you're on the Federal Reserve,
his home wasn't seized.
You get threatened with prosecution or with firing. If you're a general, like the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, and you issue a report, or the agency does.
Yeah, there's been a purge at the Pentagon.
U.S. military strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, you get fired. If you are the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics and you give a jobs report that the president doesn't like, you get fired. They're essentially going after any critic, any opposition in an effort to intimidate them. That's what this is about. It's not about Bolton per se. It's about anyone else that, like Bolton, might stand up to the president.
Well, you have been a critic of the president's, and
he's coming after you for mortgage fraud.
You of what they allege is mortgage fraud. I want to read a little bit of what President Trump posted on social media. He writes, quote, Adam Schiff has engaged in a sustained pattern of possible mortgage fraud. Adam Schiff said that his primary residence was in Maryland to get a cheaper mortgage and rip off America when he must live in California because he was a congressman from California. Now, the government...
Once again... Just like last time, did he list his primary residence as Maryland because he's in the Senate or in Congress at the time, and he lives there most of the time, but he has his home is in California. He probably has some townhouse or something in Maryland because he works in D.C. He's there most of the year.
Government mortgage company Fannie Mae says you're, quote, engaged in a sustained pattern of possible occupancy misrepresentation on several loans. Are these allegations true? How do you respond to them?
They're patently false, and the president knows it. In the housing agency, president's person Pulte knows it. He's essentially doing
welcome in
against me, against Letitia James, against this person on the Federal Reserve. Mortgage is their new weapon to go after their critics. But I've been very open about my residency, both in California and in Maryland, with my constituents and with the lenders. So there's no there. But the common denominator is they will manufacture anything to go after their critics, after members of Congress to try to silence them, after John Bolton, after people on the Federal Reserve, after generals, after
John Bolton, but he has a nice mustache.
Comey and Clapper, the Obamas, the Clintons. Basically, it's free reign with a corrupt leadership at the Justice Department.
And just very quickly, will you cooperate with the investigation?
Oh, well, we have, and we've refuted their allegations. In fact, we put it in writing. But it doesn't matter. What matters to them is the intimidation campaign, and they're going to mount it against anyone who stands up to the president. But I'm not backing down, and I have to hope that others will stand up to this increasing authoritarian form of government.
A couple more in just a few minutes left. I want to talk to you.
Yeah, good place to end it. We're not there yet. We're not onto the topic she asked about. This is General Petraeus this morning on ABC talking about the purge of military personnel at the Pentagon. There has been several high-level firings.
Former CIA Director and CENTCOM Commander General David Petraeus. General Petraeus, thank you for joining us this morning. Let me start with that look back. What do you think? Do you think there will be another Putin-Zelensky meeting, and is there any reason to think it would be more successful?
Oh, God, they all got to start with Russia.
There's not that much right now that would lead us to...
No, we're talking about military purge. That's what I want.
Last 2 weeks, really, Jonathan. I think what should be clear to all, and I think it is even clear to President Trump, is that despite all of his efforts, again, which we applaud, to end a war, to stop the killing, Vladimir Putin clearly has no intention of doing that unless he's given additional territory, which is heavily fortified, and Russian forces would have to fight for years at the pace that they're going. He wants to displace President Zelensky, replace him with a pro-Russian figure, and frankly to demilitarize Ukraine, none of which can be acceptable to Ukraine nor to the European countries and the United States. In fact, by the way, President Zelensky, under the Ukrainian constitution, doesn't even have the authority to declare that certain territory would be controlled by the Russians. That would have to go to a national referendum. So again, I think it should be clear. The obstacle to peace at this point in time is President Putin. And what we need to do is change those dynamics by helping Ukraine far more than we have so far, lifting restrictions on them, seizing the $300 billion of frozen reserve in European.
Now, sir, I'm sure you got stake in several military contractors, don't you? You stand to benefit.
Countries of Russian money, giving it to Ukraine, more sanctions on Russia, even including the Gazprom bank, and curtailing the export of oil further than we have already.
Let me get to something else that President Trump said this week. This is a post on social media. He wrote, in part, "It is very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking an invader's country. It's like a great team in sports that has a fantastic defense but is not allowed to play offense. There is no chance of winning. It is like that with Ukraine and Russia." He went on to say that it was Biden that wouldn't let Zelensky wouldn't let Ukraine attack into Russia. First of all, what's your take on what the president was intending to say there?
It's a very valid observation. It's spot on. And interestingly, as we learned in a story overnight, it's contrary to the Pentagon policy. This is another case where it appears that the Pentagon is carrying out policies that conflict with President Trump's inclination. Now, I can understand why they would limit the use of certain long-range systems against Russia when they think that Russia might still be willing to make a deal. But that should be very clear not to be the case at this moment. And I hope that there will be a review of that policy. Indeed, that was exactly what the Biden administration did in the past. They were overly sensitive endlessly about how Russia might react to something that they provide to Ukraine, and they were restricting the use of the Army tactical missile system and others. And so I hope that that will get a review in the White House and therefore a change in the Pentagon.
Yeah, this is a Wall Street Journal report overnight you're referring to, saying that the Pentagon has been blocking Ukraine's use of those long-range missiles inside Russian territory. Obviously, the Ukrainian military has been using drone attacks, which are far less lethal. But let me get your sense of the human cost of this war, because I know this is something you've spoken about, and I find astounding. Upwards of 20,000 just on the Russian side.
No, I don't care about this.
Killed.
The ability of Russia just to find a civilian workforce as well. In fact, it's reported that they are actually looking.
This is the whole piece was about Russia.
The men in Russia in various industries.
And of course, we've seen they've also tapped North Korean military soldiers fighting on the ground in Ukraine.
Did they mislabel it?
Before you go, I want to get your reaction to another development on Friday.
Oh, here we go.
The firing of the Defense Intelligence Agency Chief Lieutenant General Jeffrey Cruz after he oversaw the initial assessment on the Iran nuclear strike. What do you make of the president or the administration firing the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency? Apparently because they didn't like an intelligence assessment.
Yeah, I don't know the details of this particular case, Jonathan. As you mentioned, it just took place at the end of this week. There's a maxim in the intelligence community always about speaking truth to power. I think that's what this administration, any administration, should always ask of its intelligence analysts and indeed its senior intelligence leaders.
And very quickly, we'd also just shown on the screen, there are 16 general officers that have been either fired or reassigned since Trump became president. And obviously, there's 7 of them, which we talked about earlier, are women. What do you make of this? It seems like it's been called a purge in the ranks. Is this a concern?
I think it has to be a concern. Obviously, it's unprecedented. There's never been anything like this. There have been cases in the past where individuals who've gotten crosswise with the president or with the Secretary of Defense, certainly, usually on a policy issue in which they should not have spoken out and indeed were replaced. But the numbers here obviously are much more significant than that.
All right, General David Petraeus, thank you very much. Always good to talk to you. Appreciate your time.
My desk shook like there was something under it. Figured it was just a cat, but all the cats are over here. You want to see a cat? You got you some cat balls. You got big old balls. Silent, welcome in. Park Horse, welcome, my friend. Glad to see you. Oh, we need to get back to what the news be doing. We still got the Ghislaine Maxwell audio. We got so much of it. Probably about an hour's worth of audio. All the juiciest parts, I believe. You got a Maynard over there. Flo, welcome in. Trump is threatening. Do you remember the woman we played? I could go back and watch it again. It's amazing. We probably should. Let me see if I can find it. It should be right here. The woman in Colorado who was caught red-fucking handed trying to interfere in the 2020 election. You know, because somebody did try to steal the election. It was Trump supporters. She was like a county supervisor or county something or other over the 2020 election. Defiant. Like yelled at the judge. It was amazing he didn't find her in contempt. I gotta try to find the old story. This was about a year ago. We'll do the condensed version here. I got the inside edition pulled up.
Good. Well, so you know what I'm saying is true. All right.
A judge chuckles at a defendant in court.
It's not funny. My life is on the line here, Your Honor.
This was the contentious exchange between Judge Matthew Barrett and defendant, former Mesa County, Colorado clerk Tina Peters.
No, you're the one who's making this allegation that one,
it's
I think
not
is
an
funny,
allegation.
and two, that I know it's true. You're saying that
Teagues,
as
welcome in.
I believe you, and I did not say that.
Okay.
That is why I made the sound, because it's insulting to me for you to just put that in a record in front of all of these people that I believe something to be true.
Okay, and I apologize for that.
A jury found Peters guilty of several charges, including attempting to influence a public servant during the 2020 presidential race. This is body cam video of her arrest in February of 2022. During the sentencing hearing, Peters cried, addressing the judge.
I'm not a criminal.
Yeah, you are.
And I don't deserve to go into a prison where other people have committed heinous crimes. The only crime that I did, and some people have said I'm not remorseful. Yes, I'm remorseful. Yes, sir.
She was sentenced to 9 years in prison. This is Inside Edition Digital.
Oh, she was completely defiant. She still thinks there was a plot to steal the election for Joe Biden, that Trump won 2020. Trump is threatening to take harsh measures if she is not released from jail.
President Trump issuing a warning to the state of Colorado over conviction and prison sentence for former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters. The president posting on Truth Social this morning to, quote, free Tina Peters, calling her a brave and innocent patriot who did nothing wrong. And if Peters is not released, President Trump will, quote, take harsh measures. Peters was convicted of election tampering and sentenced to 9 years in prison when she allowed a man unauthorized access to secure voting equipment in Mesa County. Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold, who oversees the state's elections, responded to President Trump that with this quote, feeble attempts to put pressure on the justice system to rewrite history is an embarrassment. While he keeps digging himself lower and lower to free a criminal convicted by a jury of her peers, I will continue to uphold the law and our free and fair elections.
Now there really was an animal shaking my desk. Mogi, what are you doing? I don't know if there's a bug or something. There was a moth in here last night. I think that moth might be behind the TV stand. He keeps going after it. Europe and India are suspending postal service to the United. I don't even know why. I guess we're going to find out. What is the reasoning behind this?
Expecting a package from Europe or India, you may be waiting a while. Multiple European postal services and the government of India announcing they are set to suspend shipments to the United States. They're citing a lack of clarity when it comes to new import tariffs that are expected to take effect this week.
Oh, okay.
Marcus Espinoza joining us now. Marcus, walk us through this about why it's happening and how it's going to affect you and I and the American consumer.
Yeah, Hannah, the short answer, tariffs, but there's a lot more complexity in that as well there. So both Europe and India are now
Trump fucking everybody
to the United States. It all comes down to how packages enter the U.S. and new rules that will change what gets taxed. At the center of it is the end of what's called the de minimis exemption. That's set to expire on August 29th, a rule that lets packages worth less than $800 enter the U.S. duty-free. This is a big deal. Last year alone, more than 1.3 billion packages arrived that way, worth more than $64 billion. Across Europe, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, and Italy have already stopped shipments of many packages to the U.S. France and Austria will join in on Monday. And the UK's Royal Mail says it will halt service Tuesday to let packages already in transit arrive before the new duties take hold. And in India, postal officials say starting August 25th, they will suspend all shipments to the U.S. That's tomorrow, except letters, documents, and small gifts under $100. Meanwhile, DHL, Europe's largest shipping provider, is also pulling back. The company saying it can't continue accepting business parcels to the U.S. until there's more clarity on how the new duties will be handled. Under the new framework, most from Europe will face a 15% tariff, and packages under $800 will no longer be duty-free. In India, any package over $100 will now be subject to new duties with only small gifts and documents exempt. You following along?
I feel like he's cracking up too.
Spell out the rules. Basically, Americans waiting on deliveries from Europe or India could be left hanging with no clear timeline on when normal shipping will
I hate it when my duties are hanging.
Following along, and the long list of countries is a little, it's a little concerning here, especially considering how confused they seem to be about the tariffs. Is there any workaround for?
Wash your ass. Why am I like this? Cancel Justin. Quesadilla, welcome in.
Options there, and then hopefully during the week, perhaps the U.S. will speak out and clarify some things there. But right now, options are limited. Like I mentioned, many postal services have paused shipments, mainly because there's still no clear rule book on how these duties will be collected. So there are limited workarounds. Shipping by services like DHL Express are still operating, though at a much higher cost than regular mail. And there are limited exceptions in India. Letters, documents, and small gifts under $100, as I mentioned, are still allowed. And in Europe, regular mail without merchandise is not affected. So for consumers, the biggest workaround may be checking where your order is coming from and buying from outside of Europe or India for now. And honestly, the best option is if you need something right away, go ahead and go out and order it quickly and hope it arrives before those new duties kick in. Hannah, I was going to order a new football jersey, Arsenal football jersey from Europe. I've adopted the sport over there.
Yeah.
I think I need to put that order in today.
Especially considering some of these changes will start tomorrow.
That's right.
All right, Marcus Espinoza, thank you. Very important information for us to know.
Thank you. Our News Nation.
Oh, shut up, Cuomo. You're a piece of shit. Lenny, welcome in. Your city's on the chopping block. You're one of the next to get invaded. The Smithsonian set to review several of its exhibits. Apparently, one about slavery.
Donald Trump is continuing his efforts to edit how institutions tell the country's history. His latest efforts center around museums. In a Truth Social post this week, Trump called the Smithsonian in D.C. out of control, claiming its exhibits center on negative things like, quote, how bad slavery was. He said he has asked his attorneys to go through museums to begin a review process, comparing it to his administration's crackdown of, quote unquote, wokeness in colleges and universities. Now, this review, which reportedly includes things like online content, curatorial processes, and grants, is set to extend to museums beyond the Smithsonian, a White House official told NBC News.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
That's what they want to focus on, how good slavery was. This is part of the PragerU curriculum that all the schools are going to have to adopt. Representative Greg Cesar. No, I'm sorry. Is it really racist of me if it's Representative Garcia? What's his first name? Robert Garcia. Representative Robert Garcia. I just mixed him up with another Mexican-sounding congressman. My apologies. Went on with, is this Ben Measles? Over on the Measles Touch.
Congressman Robert Garcia, it's great to see you today. I've got to ask you, we know the Department of Justice has turned over some subset of what they're calling the Epstein files based on the subpoena.
Like a fourth of the documents they have.
We were able to get this subpoena sent to the Department of Justice. So I have to ask you, how many files did you receive? What were in the files that you received? Is the cover-up just continuing?
I mean, Ben, what we got was complete bullshit. And we demanded the full Epstein files, and that's not what was sent over. The White House cover-up clearly continues. What they sent us was 33,000 pages of essentially documents that have already been in the public domain. And so 97% of those 33,000 pages are court records, documents, reports that everyone already has, that the public already has and has reviewed. And so instead of actually sending us the client list, information related to Epstein and his crimes, those who have been involved in the serious damage and harm that he has caused, we didn't get actually any of that. So that is incredibly concerning for us. The subpoena was to get all the files unredacted at once. They have failed to do so, and instead now are playing this game with this limited release of the Epstein files, which is a complete joke. And let me just say one more thing. They're now trying to claim somehow that Ghislaine Maxwell, is claiming that, oh no, President Trump wasn't involved. Give me a break. She's a sex trafficker and a known liar. She should not be trusted. And once again, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, Mike Johnson, they're all involved in a massive cover-up.
Boom, there you have it. We're at the next 40 minutes to an hour of the show. This is going to be the juiciest details from the audio released of Todd Blanche with Ghislaine Maxwell. What, about a month ago? Is that how long it was? Sat down for an interview with Ghislaine Maxwell before she was moved to a cushy prison.
We talked a little bit yesterday about the financial part of your relationship with Mr. Epstein, kind of being on payroll, for lack of a better word, for many, many years, starting around $25,000 and ending up at around $250,000 per year. There's, as you know from your trial, there's banking information that shows a ton of money being sent to you from Mr. Epstein over the years, I think totaling something like $30 million, something like this. What's the why was that money sent to you? Like, what was that for?
Well, first of all, I dispute the characterization that the money was sent to me.
Okay, so tell me what I am stuck with the witnesses at trial and what was said at trial on that issue. So what is the what do you dispute about that?
Well, I believe I don't have full recollection. I'm not even sure I ever saw what they accused me of, but my belief is that that money also contained money that was for a helicopter, for instance, that I never owned and I was never mine. And
in other words, money was sent to you that you then used to purchase things, or?
Well, I'm not even sure that I purchased it. So the accounts, those accounts would be controlled by his accountants. And
even accounts in your name, you're saying, or one of your entities?
Well, I'm not even sure I knew of all the entities. Maybe I did contemporaneously, but I simply wouldn't know today. So if there was an entity, let's say account X, if I really set that up myself, or whether they said we're doing this and the money's coming or whatever, but in no substantive way, I can't think of the right word.
Did you have control over?
I had no control, is what I'm saying.
So when the government, when there was testimony or the government admitted evidence that showed, for example, $5 million in 2002 coming from Epstein to you, okay, what you're saying is that that happened, but that the you there wasn't money, that he wasn't giving you money.
I'm not going to say that for everything, because maybe there were accounts that money was sent to me, but I can say that I know, like the helicopter, I can definitively say. I'd have to look at all of them to be accurate for you, but to explain.
We're going to get into her thoughts on Princess Di, Bill Clinton, Trump, RFK Jr.
Let's go back and look at why did money have to go into your accounts, or account that was controlled by others but in your name, to like purchase a helicopter?
Oh, that's a very good
This
question.
first part is an overview of her business dealings with Jeff. Like he's my buddy, or like I'm in 50 photographs with him.
Maybe a different way that gets to the
president,
the issue, right? So the accusation by the government, based upon the evidence they collected, is that
calling him Jeff like he's my buddy.
Millions and millions of dollars over the years, and the reason why he paid you that is because you were performing an extraordinary service for him by recruiting young women, many of whom were underage, to
oh, here we go.
You could sexually abuse them. Okay, that's their allegation. Okay. From what you said yesterday and from what I've reviewed about you and Mr. Epstein, he paid for a lot in your life. Your flights, where you stayed with him. I mean, he didn't expect you to reimburse him along the way for food, and so he took care of you for many years.
That is true.
On top of that, he actually paid you a salary, as we talked about, $25,000 to $250,000. What else did he give you, or what purchase? Like, was there a time when he gave you $1 million or $500,000 as a bonus, or what financial benefit did you receive from him? Besides what we've already talked about, we don't have to talk about what would,
I got it.
Okay.
So my goal always was to become independent, independently, financially secure, and work for myself. I've never been one to not work. And in that regard, over the course of my friendship and my working relationship with Epstein, I expressed to him my desire to be independent of him everywhere, just to be freestanding. And that with that in mind, I wanted to have my own businesses or my own my own money coming in, independent and separate from any salary that I received from him. And I needed that for my self-esteem. I've never been, I mean, obviously salary, and it was a very generous one. Please, I'm not belittling the sum of money because it's huge, but I was brought up to work, and I was brought up to be my own, you know. The first time, so I would either propose businesses to him, or he would actually suggest, why didn't I do something? And the first deal that we did, or the first business that we had, or I had, and that he financed for me. So he loaned me all the money to enable me to do this, and then I reaped the profits, which I don't remember now, because we varied over the deals that we did, that I would give him 50% or 25%. It was sort of, it was random. And I can tell you what it is. So,
go ahead.
Yeah. So it was in Palm Beach, actually, and it was in real estate, and they sold what was the grounds originally of an estate called the Phipps Estate, and then they converted the land that came with that estate into houses, and I did, I think 2 or maybe 3, I can't remember now, but certainly 1 and maybe 2, possibly 3, I don't think so, I think 2, that then were flipped and there was a profit. So that would be an example of that, but I didn't have the money. So he lent me the funds to do that business transaction, and then I reaped the profits.
And so, but when
millions of dollars.
When a financial investigator, like the FBI, looks at accounts, they don't know kind of the conversations you're having, they just see the money.
Right.
So in those cases, when that happened, when he financed that with you, would he send money to you? So does that explain some of the money? Like, I think
it does. I think, for instance, there were 2 Gullwing Mercedes that they did with Mercedes and Aston Martin. You can look up, I think, if I'm right, that had all the doors that would come up like this, that were only a very limited number that were made. So I knew that we could get those and would flip them right within 24 hours, for example.
He does sound like a dude, bro. He is Trump's personal attorney. Or was.
Or something that
works for the DOJ now.
I became a banker. I got my Series 63, Series 67 banking license, and became a broker for like a new minute. And then, because I was day trading, everything I had, I day traded through an account. And I think I was lucky more than smart, but I made quite a lot of money doing that. And so
when was that?
That's in the 90s again. I think, well, you can find it because it'll be my banking license, right? That'll be something that you can look up, probably. So whatever that is, and I just don't remember when that is. I'm sorry.
So
for example, I was doing really, really, really well. And so he was like, how do you do that? Why are you investing in, I don't know, Apple when nobody liked Apple? This is, before Apple or Microsoft. I didn't know Bill Gates, so this is not related to him. But my family...
Don't charge with insider.
Please don't. No, I'm not trying to suggest that. Oh, goodness, please no. I had no...
That was just a joke.
Okay.
It's a joke.
Oh, yeah, no, all right.
Just joking around with a sex trafficker.
But my going back to my family, my dad had given me an account when I was 12, and I had always an interest in business and finance. Not terribly sophisticated. I'm not suggesting that. And so I like to trade, and so I did, and I did well. And so then I would tell him what I was doing. Now, whether he did or he didn't, he told me he matched me in some other accounts that he had, because he did a lot of, my observation, to go back to what he did, I observed him personally and have personal recollection of him trading money, a lot, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars.
That he was trading for other people, or that was his own money?
I want also to clarify something for you, or clarify or underline. Wexner was, in my opinion, his closest friend in this time period from when I met him in 91, right? All the way until, well, till, I don't know, because I wasn't that friendly with, well, I did travel with Mr. Wexner, but Epstein told me that Wexner didn't want to be seen too much with me because of my family problems. And
you mean
now whether that was
the problems that your father's company had with
Yes.
embezzlement or
yes,
allegations of...
yes, that's what I'm talking about. And now, actually, today, not contemporaneously, but today, I don't believe that that's even true. I think it was used as a means to not have me travel with him to Ohio or whatever. It was just a way to park me. And I believe that now because within the discovery there was a lot of, well, not a lot, but there was some indications that he would actively tell other people to lie to me or conceal things from me, and that he never loved me and I wasn't his type. That's in the discovery somewhere.
So, okay, so the government had evidence that even as late as 2007, he paid you a lot of money.
What was that? What was the money?
Like several millions and millions of dollars in 2007. $7.4 million, I think.
What was that for? Was that the helicopter?
That's my question.
Oh,
to you.
sorry.
I don't know.
Okay,
so in
sorry.
2007,
I think
in
that's probably the helicopter. That could have been.
was what?
That could have been the helicopter, the Sikorsky. Those big chunks like that. I don't
All these helicopters.
personally have any memory of receiving a check from him for $7 million. I just don't. But I would have to. I know. So the answer to your question, to be precise,
if it went into your pocket.
I would remember if it went. He never paid me for services that you just described, $7 million for any nefarious reason.
Yeah, I think I understand what you've said about being on the payroll and helping you with businesses and giving you a lot of life things along the way. You travel with him, you ate with him, but there is these massive amounts of money, one-time payments
you'd have to trace that, right? So I don't believe that came into my account or I had any control. I have no memory of that. I've no.
Well, but if there's records that show it coming into your account, it sounds like what you're saying is that, not putting aside you have no memory of that money being yours. Like you didn't. That money is not somewhere.
No, I wouldn't be like, oh yippee, let me go. I got $7 million. I'm going to go buy myself a yacht. No, or I don't know, something else, or move it to some other. No, I don't think if you look, you'll have to check. Well, obviously you will. I don't think you'll find that money moving.
I mean, being in prison will humble you.
Other of mine, or it shouldn't show. I don't believe anyway. As far as I recollect, it wouldn't show me spending it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think I don't think there's any dispute.
But how did the money leave your account then?
At trial.
If you didn't spend it somehow.
Money went in.
$7 million in when? What year?
Well, there's several years. In 2007.
And?
It's the 2002. There was $5 million that you were paid in 2002.
Oh, well, I'd have to. I don't remember. But okay, so there would be another large sum, but it wouldn't have come from him later. But with nothing to do.
The biggest one was in 1999. There's over 18 million, 18.3 million.
I don't know what that is.
So what? But but what you're saying, it sounds like, and then if you don't know, we can move on. But when we're talking about 18.3 million in 99, 5 million and 3 years later in 2002, 7.4 million in 2007, that money adds up to around $30 million. You were not paid that by Mr. Epstein, meaning that's not money you received for your benefit, even if it was.
Oh yeah, her dad was a shady business dude.
My money. Now I just like I said, we did do these things with the cars, and we did,
and possibly Mossad.
I don't know if any of that money, some of it, if it moves, some of that may have come from the car or a house that was sold that I had an interest in with him. That's possible, but I don't think this money is mine.
But also, the record should reflect, too, that there were times Ghislaine's name was used. For example, Air Ghislaine. Her name was in the name of the entity. It had nothing to do with her. And
I don't think we're really gleaning anything. We were out at the end anyway. This is where I should probably hit the content warning. She talks about some of the more graphic crimes that she is accused of.
When you said something yesterday at the very beginning of our conversation, that when you first met Mr. Epstein, and you ultimately have sex with him, that he had, I'll use the word erectile dysfunction, but he had issues having sex.
That's what he told me.
That's what he told you?
Yes.
Okay. And then over the years, you said sometime in the 90s you started taking testosterone.
Yes. But I don't know if it was in the 90s. I don't remember when he started, but it wasn't, he had patches, testosterone patches.
Okay.
Dermal.
Like on his arm?
Yes.
Okay.
And then he was ridiculous because you shouldn't take more than one, but sometimes he had, like, well, I'm like, what are you doing? It's, like, unhealthy.
Okay. From what you observed or saw or heard, did he continue to have challenges sexually over the years, or do you think that whatever he told you, whatever issue he told you he had, was fixed?
I think it was a lie.
You think he was lying about what?
About his erectile dysfunction.
Oh, you mean you you don't think he ever had any issues? You think he just told you that?
That is what I believe today, yes. But given, if any of the stories are true, he couldn't have had erectile dysfunction. The thing had a priapism, for Christ's sake.
Well, that's one of the reasons for my questions. I mean, you're right. I mean, and again, we've talked about this a fair amount, but what did, like, the stories of what masseuses underage and overage have said about him are, you know, and what he liked, or what he demanded that they do, whether it's watching him masturbate or pinching his nipples, you know, kind of things that are unusual. Do you believe that? Like, do you, from what you saw, from what you observed, from what you did when you were
Wait, is that unusual? Having people watch you masturbate and pinching your nipples is unusual? I think I have a different definition of what unusual is. That seems pretty tame. It seems pretty vanilla, to be honest with you.
Relationship with him, or is that true?
Well, the bulk of what I read, he did not have sex. So that is consistent with what he told me, actually. And his masturbating, that is also consistent with what I knew myself. And I'm going to use a bad word.
Please, you can use whatever word you need, yes.
Blowjob.
Okay.
He liked blowjobs.
Okay.
Blowjob.
And he didn't seem to have any erectile dysfunction for blowjobs. But sex he didn't have. So when I read the stories about the allegations of sexual rape, I find that challenging because that was not his modus operandi, from my perspective.
But when you read about blowjobs, that would be consistent with kind of what you...
That would be consistent, as would...
Blowjobs.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life, then I want you inside of me.
I am not high enough for this shit. By the way, you get a police chase after this. We got a few more news stories. I was going to see if I can cut some stuff and we can go ahead and go to the police chase, have fun. But you get a police chase at the end of this, and it's an awesome one. It is one for the ages, probably.
Masturbation, yes.
Did you talk to masseuses or women that either he was in a relationship with or who asked you about working?
Media winch.
Did you tell them, yes, he likes blowjobs, yes, he'll masturbate in front of you? Like, did you have conversations with any of those, with women, about what Mr. Epstein liked or what would make him happy.
Now that Media Winch is here, you know what we got to do. Light one up, tip one back. We are a little ways in, about a fourth of the way through our Ghislaine Maxwell section tonight, where I got all the juicy details. She's going to dish the dirt on Princess Di, Clinton, RFK Jr., and of course Trump. It's still to come.
Happy or things like that.
I don't have any memory of telling anybody about that. I think I may have joked, like saying, "Oh my God," you know, like from a Sex and the City scene, that you know, he's, but not. I never instruct. The question you're asking me. Sorry, let's just be clear. Did I ever instruct anyone how to pleasure Mr. Epstein? Your question, no.
And you said this earlier, but I want to just, you kind of said it on your own. I want to ask the question just so I make sure that there's no confusion. When you, over the years...
Sorry, can I just...
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I just want to say, the idea that I would have to explain to a woman how to satisfy Mr. Epstein is patently absurd, because he clearly was able to explain himself. He didn't need an interlocutor to explain what he liked. He's been doing this, obviously, or this, some version of this story his whole life, and did not require any help from me.
Then, so did you ever observe him having sex with a masseuse, regular intercourse, not a blowjob, nothing else, where you either walked in or you were in the room?
I never saw Epstein have sex with any person.
Calls him Epstein. That's kind of weird, isn't it?
So how about oral sex? Did you ever observe a woman giving him oral sex, whether you were in the room or walked in, or...
I never saw anyone give Epstein a blowjob, no.
But you said earlier you did see him masturbating in front of masseuses.
I don't know if I said that. I don't know.
Okay, sorry. I don't want... Let me ask the question.
She didn't say that. She said that would be in character, I believe.
I said I saw him, I'm sure I saw him in a, what some people could define as sexual contact. So somebody could not have their clothes, or topless, I would say, maybe. I could say that. If I saw him having, masturbating when someone was like, I don't recall that. I don't have a specific memory of it. I'm sorry. But no, I'm not.
Okay.
I don't believe her.
Okay, I don't understand.
They said in her trial that she raped people, right?
So
she participated, as far as I'm aware. Has she ever had any contact with the Mossad? All the juicy deets here. All the juicy deets.
So I'm going to ask you questions that you shouldn't read into them. I just want to know whether they resonate with you. Have you ever had any contact with any representative that you know of from Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency?
Can you ask me that again?
Have you ever had any contact with an individual that you understand to be from Mossad, an Israeli intelligence agency?
Well, not deliberately.
Pardon me?
Not deliberately.
Okay. And did you know, we asked this, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but just to put a finer point on it.
Odd answer.
Did you ever know that were you ever told, do you ever think that Mr. Epstein was getting any money from any intelligence agency, including Mossad?
Well, I don't believe so, but I wouldn't know. I mean, I would be very surprised if he did. I don't think so. No.
We've talked about a lot of names, and I'm sure there's some that we haven't covered. Are there any foreign nationals? So right now we've talked about some British, the royal family a little bit, and maybe high society folks in Britain. Were there any international businessmen or politicians that had a very close relationship or a close relationship with Mr. Epstein that we haven't already talked about?
Off the top of my head, I can think of Ehud Barak.
You said that Mr. Epstein at some point in the mid to late 90s, he started taking testosterone.
Wait, there was no follow-up on that?
No. I mean, he took pills for his heart, I think. But I don't, no substances.
What do you know anything about his heart condition? I know we talked about this at 9:45 this morning, but do you know anything about his heart condition and beyond that you understood he had a heart condition that affected his ability to
get an erection? Oh my God, I was right.
He told me no, he never shared anything, but he did take pills. I don't know anything about that. And like I said, he did the testosterone, which made him mean.
And we're jumping around a little bit. Sorry.
They mentioned British royalty. What's your thoughts on Princess Di? Forbes labeled it a bombshell.
For a few minutes to talk about post 2000 to kind of when your relationship changed over the years with him. Did there come a time when Mr. Epstein did meet members of the royal family?
Yes.
When was that?
So I need to go back because I think I may have misspoke.
Okay.
Well, I didn't misspeak, but it's something that I had forgotten.
Yeah.
Before I met Epstein, he lived in London for a period of time. I don't know for how long. And he met and knew some truly fancy people, like people, high society people. That included Princess Diana's best friend. Her name was Rosa Monckton. And Rosa's husband, Dominic Lawson, who's a famous journalist, actually he's a very well-known journalist. And when I, and he was friends with the Barings Bank, and he had like sort of that.
That was, you're
before
talking about
he met me.
Before, so in the
80s. Yes. He was dating Eva Anderson, Miss Sweden, I think. I don't know when she became Miss Sweden.
Okay, so earlier when you said that he met them later, you think he may have met some members of the royal family or certainly British high society?
He met, I don't know about the royal family, but certainly high society.
Okay.
And the reason why I know this is because sometime this is a documentable thing, whatever. There's a photograph that can give you the date because I don't remember what the date is of this. So there's something that will peg whatever.
Look at this photograph.
I don't remember when that is. Epstein went to London without me. He often went everywhere without me, but he was in London without me, which was decently unusual because London's my hometown. But anyway, he went without me, and he went to a big event in. I think it was in the park. Anyway, it was a big event. It's on the news. It's like
It's really creepy seeing them stare at me.
Sat with Diana, or he met Diana, or he'd already met her. I don't know, but this I believe was organised by Rosa, and so there's. I don't know if she was being set up as a date for him, maybe because I don't want to speak bad of Diana, but I'm not going to do
Okay, so that was pre-meeting you.
No, that was when that event happened when we were.
Oh, okay, that was.
No, it's when we were. Okay. I'm not going to say together, but how about this? When I was his employee.
Okay. Better. So now moving back to the 2000s, there come a time when Mr. Epstein met Prince Andrew?
Yes.
And others in the royal family, or just Prince Andrew, as far as you know?
Well, so as much as I can piece it together, first of all, let's just state I did not introduce him to Prince Andrew. I did not introduce him to Prince Andrew or to Sarah Ferguson. That is a flat untruth. I'll start with that. So now I'm going to tell you how he did actually meet him. So if you find me that photograph, I can date that time when he met Princess Diana at that event. And based on that, I'll be able to tell you if it's pre or post that event, because I haven't looked it up and I've never bothered to check. So Lynn Forrester, who was a client or some type of client, or I think she actually tried to date him, or might have dated him for the record. She was in... Do you want to ask me something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. She was, she had a house, or she rented a house in the Vineyard. I think it was or Nantucket. I can't remember now which one it was. It was one of those. It was either Nantucket or the Vineyard. and invited Epstein to go, and I believe that's when he met Prince Andrew. However, I believe that before that event, he had gone to the Bahamas and had hung out with Sarah Ferguson. And Sarah had called Epstein and had arranged with Lynn, or I don't know. I don't know now, I'm speculating. Anyway, long and short, he met Andrew at there.
And I'm not holding you to an exact date, but when
Well, we can
approximately
date
was
it
that?
from that picture, if you find me the picture.
But do you know, without looking at a photo, in your mind, approximately when was that?
I want to say it was 2000, no, probably 2001, 2002.
Early 2000s.
Yes.
And I think it was actually Prince Andrew himself who suggested that he met Jeffrey Epstein through you.
I think that's true. So, well,
It's true that Andrew said that.
yeah, no, I'm sure it's true. Because I'm English, and my close friends are all close friends with Sarah and Andrew. And I would not say that I was close friends with Andrew before, but certainly we were friendly, and certainly his best friends, some of them were very, very close with me. And I think that my friendship, me being present, or me, is what made Andrew like Jeffrey more, trust him, or I think that's
So you
maybe
don't dispute that that you kind of had a role in getting together. You're just saying you didn't say, Prince,
I
here's
would never
Jeffrey.
have introduced them. It would never have occurred to me to introduce them. I couldn't imagine them being friends. Two chalk and cheeses would never, I mean, for real, there's nothing there to connect them. So he met Prince Andrew, and then he had
Except for their love of underage girls.
Clunky. They had a
acquaintanceship.
Thank you. And through Sarah, actually. I think Sarah is the one that pushed that. And they met and hung out, I want to say 2 or 3 times. That had nothing to do with me. I wasn't communicating with Andrew. I wasn't in touch with him. And I know this because I was annoyed. And I felt left out. And I felt disrespected. And I was like, this is weird. I couldn't even imagine Epstein and Andrew together. And I thought that Sarah was trying to put the moves on Jeffrey, if I'm being honest. And I thought the whole thing was annoying. And I was pissed.
So,
wow, that got really catty there at the end. Dang. What did she have to say about one Mr. Bill Clinton?
did you do you know somebody named Cheryl Mills? That used to work in the White House as a lawyer.
I do, yes.
How do you know Miss Mills?
I met Miss Mills through President Clinton.
And do you remember generally the time frame that you met her?
I do, actually. Oh, hang on. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remember. I'm trying to get my dates right.
Approximately.
With the president to South America.
With which president?
Oh, sorry, President Clinton.
Yeah. Okay. Just
Sorry.
I just wanted to make sure it was clear. Okay. So you went on a trip to where?
Latin America.
And so Miss Mills was on that trip.
She was.
And President Clinton was on that trip.
He was.
Who else was on that trip?
Doug Band.
Who worked with
Duckman?
President Clinton?
Yes.
And was Mr. Epstein?
No.
And what was the purpose of that trip?
Well, the president had been. I don't know. I mean, the president met with. I can't even remember all the presidents, and we were in
But was this
Ecuador.
part of President Clinton's work after he left office with his foundation? Or was a meaning
I
like,
don't think the
was
foundation
it something for him, or was it?
I don't remember when the Clinton Global Initiative started. So if you date me, if you give me that date, I can tell you if it was pre or post. Because without that, I can't pin the reason.
Do you remember what it was for or not?
No, I don't recall. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't.
that's don't overthink or underthink the reason for my questions. I don't have any idea why you went on that trip. So
Okay,
I don't know an answer that I'm keeping.
No,
from
I'm
you.
just trying to be as accurate as possible and give you the
Why
information
would you? Do you remember why you were invited to go? Like, were you friends with somebody? What was your role going on that trip?
I didn't have a role.
So, do you remember?
How'd you end up going on a trip with the president?
Who invited you to go?
Probably Doug Band.
And how did you know?
Duckman?
Because Doug and again back with Philip Levine.
God. And do you know whether he had a relationship with Mr. Epstein?
Who?
Doug.
Doug.
I don't know. I mean, nothing. I don't believe there was any relationship other than I helped. Well, without me, I don't think there would have been those flights because I was the one who asked Epstein to provide the plane for. Well, certainly I remember the one to Africa, of course, that big trip. And I thought it was an honor and a privilege to be
I
part
bless
of
the
that
rains down in
and to have an
Africa.
opportunity to spend time with a man that I found truly extraordinary. And please, I don't mean it in any other way other than there's a former fantastic ex-president.
So, I was asking around the question, but I was asking, like, were you basically asked to go because you were kind of responsible for the plane? Not responsible is the wrong word. They used you. They were able to use you to make sure that they could. You helped them get Mr. Epstein's plane for the trip.
No, I don't even know if when I was on that. In fact, I think that trip, I'm not even sure that Epstein had met the president.
Okay.
I think this is, if I'm right, and I think I am, I think that trip happened when Epstein and Clinton had never even, not that they'd never met because Epstein had gone to the White House, but they had not met. I'd never asked Epstein for the plane then because they'd never met and it would be weird. But they met because of me and the plane was because of me. But that trip was the first, I think, the first trip I took with the ex-president. And I don't believe Epstein and he had met. And
oh, so this was after he left the White House.
When I was trying to leave, not very successfully, obviously, but I was branching out on my own and being more independent of Mr. Epstein and trying to, I had all kinds of businesses that I was into. I was trying to start the first telehealth medicine with the Cleveland Clinic. I mean, I'm not going to bore you because I don't think that's what you guys are interested in, but those were the sorts of things that I was looking for him to finance so that I could stop being, general manager of a hotel.
Did you take other trips with some or all of those individuals kind of without Mr. Epstein in later years? Like you said, that was the first time that you had kind of been on something like that, and it was an honor, and you were spending time with former President Clinton and others. Were there other, over the years, did you do that more than once?
Yes.
We'll talk about those. Like multiple times, like too many to count, or there 3 or 4 times, like how many times?
A lot. I went on a lot of trips. Now, I don't recall all of them, not because I'm trying to be evasive or anything, but I just don't remember them all, and after a while, in the incredible job that you have, all of you, that when you're so high pressured and you're spending so much time with extraordinary people like you do with President Trump, it can blur. It just does. And there's few things that stand out because at the
There's
end
a
it
little
all
Trump ass kissing.
Cars and sirens and president. It's like, whoa, okay.
So, I understand, but talk. So don't give me understand you can't give specific numbers. Describe more about kind of that part of your life and your relationship. I'm using relationship. You don't like relationship.
I don't.
And your and your
my employer.
Yes.
Right,
so
that's
just
for you.
describe what you were doing with those individuals. So when I say those individuals, I'm talking about former President Clinton, Doug, other folks.
Duckman.
All of them. Yes, there were loads of them, and basically all of them. You know the team. I don't need to give you all the names. You have them.
I need to know who Duckman is.
I can confirm. If you give me names, I'll say yes, because they're not all going to pop into my head. So,
right.
Okay. So
is she denying that she was his girlfriend?
I don't want to characterize that later. I started to spend time with the former president and with Doug and his team. And
Duckman.
I had no purpose, really, other than I obviously offered something. I don't know. Ideas of, I don't know. Anyway, and he started to travel. I don't remember if the first trip was Africa or how it went, but at some point, I think there was actually 2 trips, but I'm not sure. So there was to Europe and then to Africa. I think maybe it was all one trip. And at some point, Mr. Epstein said he didn't want to go on the trip, and
yeah, she keeps calling him Epstein and Mr. Epstein. It's so weird.
And I was like, well, okay. And so I ended up doing the whole trip without Mr. Epstein or his plane.
And when you were traveling with them, what were the purposes of the trips? Like, is this one?
I think these were all. I think actually it was the AIDS was one of the primary ones for his
AIDS Whisper
Foundation when he was working to do that, and there were always a humanitarian side to the trips.
I don't think you need to pay anybody clinically. I think it's probably going to happen.
There was, yeah.
So it sounds like
we really didn't get anything out of that. Apparently, she did at some point in time say that she never saw anything inappropriate with Clinton. Here's what she had to say about Trump.
Observe President Trump receive a massage.
Never.
Did you ever observe? You said that you were. I mean, have you seen there's photographs, public photographs of Mr. Epstein and President Trump together?
Yes.
And there's photographs of, I think you're in some of the photographs as well. Those all appear to be social settings.
Yes. That's my memory. There were social settings. I don't know Epstein's, if he had, whatever the nature of the president's friendship, if you will, or however you want to define that with Epstein, I was never witness. I think they were friendly, like people are in social settings. I don't think they were close friends, or I certainly never witnessed the president in any of, I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance. I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting. I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects.
When's the last time you think you saw in person President Trump?
It's been a long time. Probably not. Sometime in the beginning, mid 2000s maybe, and it would only have been a social setting, as far as I recall.
And did you ever hear Mr. Epstein or anybody say that President Trump had done anything inappropriate with masseuses or with anybody in your world?
Absolutely never. In any context.
Absolutely never.
Do you know whether masseuses from Mar-a-Lago spa ended up giving massages to, private massages to Mr. Epstein? And I'm not asking for what you may have read, but at the time, from your personal knowledge, do you know whether that's true?
I don't recall. Is it possible? Yes. But I don't remember that. So I don't recall that, but it's possible.
Do you have recollection of you ever recruiting a masseuse from Mar-a-Lago Spa to go give a private massage to Mr. Epstein?
I've never recruited a masseuse from Mar-a-Lago for that, as far as I remember. I can't ever recollect doing
that. So clearly lying. Here is the $1 million question. What does she think? Did Mr. Epstein kill himself?
Epstein and his death. So you were not obviously at the MCC during that time, correct?
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. I thought you were giving it to me.
I think I've got something blew up my nose.
So just take some water, it's okay, no problem. You were not at the MCC during that time, correct?
I was not.
So you're gonna tell us what you believe, but I just want to make sure I understand. Your basis for belief is kind of what you've read and seen, and your knowledge of Mr. Epstein for the many years you knew him, right?
And actually, there's a third component.
Okay.
The answer to that is yes. And
Okay.
there's a third component to that, which is having experienced now the mismanagement and inefficiencies and total dereliction of duty at the Bureau of Prisons.
From BOP, from the Bureau of
Yes.
Prisons. Okay, fair. Okay, so, what I do want to be careful about is, asking you to speculate, because anybody can do that, and I don't think that's fair to you or anybody else to ask you to give us your kind of opinion, but do you think that the third point you say, which is kind of a failure by the BOP, there's been there's an OIG report, there's an SDNY investigation about that. You think he did not die by suicide, given all the things we just talked about?
I do not believe he died by suicide, no.
And do you believe that, do you have any speculation or view of who killed him?
No, I don't.
And I ask that because if you don't believe that there's any truth to the allegations of blackmail, or that he had kind of a list, or that he had reasons to have people hate him, why would somebody kill him in prison?
Well,
yes. Go on.
in prison, where I am, they will kill you, or somebody can pay a prisoner to kill you for $25 worth of commissary is about the going rate for a hit with a lock today.
So
I don't believe that.
The third reason, which is kind of the mismanagement, or
Yes.
the shortfall.
She ain't hard. She don't know.
Bureau of Prisons.
Yes.
Which is a little bit different than my question is, which is, do you think there's somebody on the outside of prison? So putting aside what could happen on the inside, on the outside of prison, who wanted him dead so badly that he would have, or she would have, caused him to be killed on the inside?
I think I don't see that. I think, is it possible? Of course it's possible, but I don't know of any reason why, and I don't believe in the blackmail or in any of this. I don't think Epstein had a hit on like that. If it is indeed murder, I believe it was an internal situation.
Yeah, so you don't have any reason, first-hand knowledge, or even speculation, it sounds like, to think that that he was killed to kind of silence him, or to keep him from going public about people he knew about.
I don't. No, because I think that is just part of the story that's been created that started back in 2008-9.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the point. Like, I don't think there's value in talking. There's been a lot of there's a lot of information about what happened, in the MCC, but what is important to me is whether, if is the idea that he didn't die by suicide. That's one thing, but if to the extent that folks believe that he was murdered to keep him quiet or because he had information on rich and powerful people, do you have any reason to believe that?
Sex trafficking.
I have any reason to believe that, and I also think it's ludicrous, because I also happen to think if that is what they wanted, they would have had plenty of opportunity when he wasn't in jail. And if they were worried about blackmail or anything from him, he would have been a very easy target.
In the time, so we've talked about a lot of time all the way up through 2009-10, and then the time that after Mr. Epstein was arrested. When's the last time you spoke with him?
Maybe 2016, 2017, maybe 2016, 2015, 2016, 2017, in that area, I believe.
And what, when you're thinking about that last time, was that you had been talking to him a lot and then you stopped, or was that a one-off time and it was infrequent at that point?
I really wasn't in communication. The only communication
I agree, Flo.
was with regards to the civil suits. The civil suit that I found myself in, the defamation suit I found myself in. I needed help. I needed information, and I didn't have what I needed. And so that was really what drove it, was me trying to get myself out of this situation, which I ultimately led to where I am today. And so when that, I don't remember even if I stopped talking to him before that. I thought he was angry with me anyway. He didn't like what I did, and I wasn't interested in what he had to say to me. And
what did you think he was angry with you about?
I think he was angry that I had even said that I had referred to her being a liar. He said I should have not said anything, but...
Her being a liar.
Okay,
I missed that. But she's also fucking boring me. Oh my god, I'm so glad it's over. So there you go, the juiciest parts of the Ghislaine Maxwell, is it a deposition with Todd Blanche? So not very juicy at all. Let's do a couple more stories, then we've got an amazing police chase. I don't think we learned jack shit. I think she told a lot of lies.
Now, Lyle Menendez, one of the famous Menendez brothers, has been denied parole just 24 hours after his brother Eric was denied. ABC's Alex Stone has the details.
We're getting out for the Menendezes.
Thursday, Lyle Menendez denied parole. Board members pressing him with questions. Lyle telling commissioners he sought his father's love and believing the sexual abuse was a way that love was shown. Saying, quote, "The physical abuse was focused on me because I was more important to him, I felt," end quote. He said his father expected greatness and that he worried he was going to be less loved when his father's abuse moved to his brother Eric. Decades ago, Lyle Menendez testified about the way his father twisted his mind, equating the alleged sex abuse with love.
He just said that it was our secret, that bad things would happen to me if I told anybody.
Like Eric's hearing, commissioners spent considerable time on illegal cell phones. Lyle admitted to having phones from 2018 to early 2025. Menendez was also asked to recall his psychiatric diagnosis, telling the board it included antisocial, narcissistic traits. Lyle's denial for parole coming a day after commissioners ruled Eric still poses an unreasonable risk to public safety. For the first time, we're now hearing audio of Thursday's hearing that led to Eric Menendez being denied parole.
Was there any part of this that you believe was self-defense?
No.
Both brothers can now appeal. Otherwise, they'll get a chance at parole again in several years. They may be able to speed that up and get a chance in 18 months. Alex Stone, ABC News, San Diego.
So, no getting out for the Menendez. a TV host was assaulted, I think, while she was on camera. Happened in Beverly Hills.
Now at 5:30, a TV real estate personality is warning about what she calls a surge in violent muggings after becoming a victim herself. Good evening. This is the KTLA 5 News at 5:30.
It might have just been after you.
I'm Mike Ullman. Real estate personality Camille Anderson is raising the alarm about violent muggings.
She says she was recently the victim of a street robbery herself in Beverly Hills, and she hopes that her story will serve as a warning to others. KTLA.
What was she showing
in Beverly Hills with
on her knee?
Kim?
At her shoulder.
She's sharing this story on social media and with
Was that Pedro Pascal?
This can happen anywhere, and she believes that what she had on, a YSL purse and jewelry, may have made her a target. Camille Anderson, known for her role on the show Selling Mega Mansions, says it started as a nice Saturday night out in Beverly Hills.
We decided to walk from a restaurant on Cannon to one that was just a few blocks away, 9 p.m. at night. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Anderson and her friend were near Santa Monica Boulevard in Cannon when she says two men robbed and assaulted her.
I could see someone in the alleyway. I didn't think much of it, and it happened so quickly. They lunged at me, tried to take my purse. I tensed up.
Her being a personality makes her a target.
And because they didn't get the purse the first attempt, the person slammed me to the ground.
Victim blaming or anything.
Was to start screaming.
She says it happened quickly. The men jumped into a getaway car and took off. Bystanders called 911 while she was on the ground.
Police showed up very quickly. They took my statement, and what felt like under 10 minutes, they said they caught what they thought were the suspects.
Beverly Hills police arrested 3 suspects and identified them as 23-year-old Vlad Oganessian, 45-year-old Gregorian Vaughn, and 25-year-old Razmik Papikian. They face charges related to robbery and conspiracy. Anderson thinks it may have been a crime of opportunity, but also questions if someone had been watching.
I do think they possibly had a lookout, whether they were across the street or near the restaurant where we dined, maybe someone who kept their eye on us. I don't think it was about me in particular, but just the fact that I had a nice purse on and a watch.
She was left with cuts and bruises, but is grateful she's otherwise okay.
Luckily, everything I'm gonna.
It looks like a mole. You should probably get that checked out. You might have cancer.
To talk about it so people are aware. Hopefully people will become more aware of not carrying designer bags or having really nice watches on, but more importantly, just talking about this and how can we make it safer for Angelenos.
A police spokesperson said the suspects could face charges related to robbery and conspiracy. We're trying to confirm.
I don't want to tell you what to say clinically, but I don't want to see you get banned from my chat.
Vehicle, and according to court records,
or get reported.
Been released on bond.
Maybe dial it back about 10%. Maybe be a little more.
Thank you, Kimberly.
A little more clever with the way you say it. I don't want to lose you, my friend. You've been straddling the line. If there's a chud in here, they might report you. And I don't want to see you gone. You're a real one, homie. Was there medical malpractice involved in the death of one Mr. Hulk Hogan?
We now have new information based on the police report in the case and other information suggesting
of course we go to TMZ for this
was the result of medical malpractice.
I mean, I don't disagree with what he's saying.
An injury, at least as a nurse who was on the scene, an
occupational
therapist who was on the scene, who feared and shared this fear with the police that during a surgery,
he's kicking authority in the balls.
Hulk's phrenic nerve had been severed.
And the phrenic nerve basically connects to the diaphragm, which controls breathing. What's significant here is we are told that Hulk's wife, Skye, sounded the alarm when she saw Hulk had stopped breathing. Now, Charles and I have been going back and forth because I was on the phone with sources
dealing with
45 minutes ago when he was working on the Lil Nas X story. So when I was on the phone, you say that the occupational therapist feared. Actually, what I was told was he said it. He didn't think it. He said,
the nurse said
the nurse, the occupational therapist said that it was the result of this phrenic nerve.
This nurse,
it's not a nurse. There was a nurse there and an occupational therapist.
Said that it actually did happen?
That's what he said. Now, I don't know the basis of it. I do know, based on our phone calls that we made, that it is in the police report and there is body cam at the scene. And I'm told that there is body cam both where the officers were discussing it amongst themselves, and presumably there is body cam when police were interacting with the occupational therapist. What is
that man right there? That's Jimmy Hart. He was Hulk Hogan's bag man back in the day. In the 80s when they were driving around, he'd have all Hogan's drugs on him.
With the occupational therapist. What is really interesting about this, and honestly,
super cool guy though,
bottom of yet, is that there was talk.
See, now that's the way you say it clinically.
Hulk's daughter has wanted an autopsy and said there was something suspicious here. You would think if, we don't know whether he's been cremated yet. A week ago, they said he had not yet been cremated, but we don't know what the status is now. But you would think they would go for an autopsy if there was any evidence of medical malpractice.
Correct. And you remember, Hulk had 2 surgeries. In mid-May, he had one, a fusion on his neck to repair a neck injury. That's when Charles mentioned. But about a week or 2 or a couple days before he passed away, he had a surgery on his heart as well. So it's unclear which surgery the occupational therapist is addressing with the phrenic nerve. So
this nerve was severed.
I think that if he had both these operations prior, you would want the autopsy.
It would have been the more recent one, right? Because I feel like you can't live that long.
The police have this information from, at least as the occupational therapist put it.
Right.
Why wouldn't the medical exam? Why wouldn't the police?
I can't answer
order an autopsy.
I can't answer.
Even without the
as
families.
Opposed to Sky needing it, right?
I cannot answer that question yet. I don't know the ins and outs of Florida law that way. I just don't know. But the odd thing to me is that if this was medical malpractice, you would think the family, i.e. Sky, would have a claim, and you would want that autopsy to confirm it. And that's why this is so odd to me, that as far as we know, there has not yet been an autopsy.
Correct.
And that's what does not make sense to me. You know, there are other things that Brooke wonders about.
Fucking TMZ.
But this now, we know, is in the police report. And again, presumably.
Was that Brooke or was that his wife?
At least
they look alike.
And I'm assuming that the whole conversation with the occupational therapist is on.
And Sky was present when this was happening.
Sky was right there.
Sky was right
She's
there.
the one who sounded the alarm in the first place. He was. We're told he was sitting in a chair.
Correct.
He was sitting in a chair. This wasn't a heart attack where he grabbed his heart, we're told. He was sitting in a chair.
And just stopped breathing.
And just stopped breathing.
So there has to be an autopsy. I mean.
But yet we're told.
None as of yet. No.
Why there hasn't been an autopsy? And although the fact that he has not been cremated, or at least as of last week, had not been cremated, at least points to that they're talking, there's some conversations going on about this?
She put on her Instagram story that she was, there was family concerns and they weren't going to cremate him until those family concerns got assuaged. So but that was a week ago, though. So
now we know what those family concerns are.
Correct.
But she was present when the
Right.
occupational
so
therapist
she
said,
ordering.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
Yeah, that's his wife. The other one was Brooke, I think.
Carolina, and my thing is Brooke Hogan.
I think. So that's his wife. And that was Brooke. I think. Or is that his wife too? Is that the same woman? I can't fucking tell. That's his wife. That's Brooke. Okay, I think I got it right. That's his daughter. That's his daughter. That's his wife. But that's real freaky, isn't it? But who, like Mr. GOP mommy over here, talking about getting molested by his aunt. I don't like this game. Which one deserves a titty slap?
A titty slap! Give me those titties,
Come on now.
Oh, this is the actual pursuit. Oh shit. I'm sorry. I thought this was just the news story. I didn't know we had the whole thing. Oh, we're gonna watch both of these then. We got two police chases. Fuck yeah. Let me switch gears then. A neighbor turned out to be a hero, going in saving a puppers at a house that was on fire.
Hey!
But this team desperately banging on the...
Hey!
But this team desperately banging on the front door isn't a mischief maker, he's a hero. The house is on fire, and these guys are concerned their neighbors might be inside. This dad throws himself against the door.
Dad, your shoulder.
Then this guy tries kicking in the door. Still no luck.
Hey, keep going, move! Keep going! There's a dog in there!
The race is on to save the dog. This guy tries kicking in the door again. Another dude joins in. They're in. Moments later,
Grab the dog!
Here's the dog. Turns out there were 2 dogs in there, cowering in terror in the laundry room.
Oh, baby.
From the inside the house. That was definitely the scariest part.
Gabriel Gonzalez and Carter Jacobson are the 2 who kicked the door down.
So I just decided to just start kicking as hard as I could, like a movie. I don't think we were thinking of what's going to happen to us. I don't think that even crossed our mind.
They say they got out just in time.
After we got out, I think it was like 30 seconds to a minute later, the rest of the house was gone.
2 lucky dogs, thanks to the door-kicking heroes. On to save the dog. This guy
I'm so glad the dogs are okay.
Dude joins in.
All right, Twitch people, stick with me. We got a couple of police chases to watch. And they're good ones.
Here's the dog.
They're both excellent.
2 dogs in there, cowering.
Podcast, YouTube, Kick, Rumble.
That was definitely
light one up, tip one back.
And Carter Jacobson.
It's all right to have a little fun before we hit the sack.
The door down.
So I just decided
Law Dog, welcome
as
in.
hard as I could, like a movie. I don't think we were thinking of what's
Bye-bye, YouTube.
I don't think that even crossed our mind.